I'm gonna give you honor to introduce you today, one of today's guests. Well, first of all, let me say this to you. This is a man who I admire. He has created some of the best I've ever seen. He has created new math as it came to entertainment and business. And as we talk about this topic of our discussion today, is the business of education. I want to introduce, put your hands together for the great, the one and only, Damon Dash. Dame Dash. What's good, Dame?
Thank you. What's happening?
Say it again.
What's good, Dame?
What's good?
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Laz is my man.
It's a pleasure to have you, Dame. It's a pleasure. Lazy and I have been talking for a minute about getting you on here, man. It ain't nothing but a pleasure to see you.
I appreciate it. Anything Lazy's doing, I'm down with. I know him for a long time. I consider him my brother. You know, do business, box, golf, the whole nine. So, you know, it's all good. And this is positive, so let's push it forward. I'm with it. You can make it where I can do this so I can see what you're talking about.
The magic word, he said golf.
Oh, yeah. Lazy and I will be out to Cali soon, Dame. As soon as this thing breaks, we get out there to play some golf with you, all right?
All right, yeah. I'm down. I'm down. Right. It's been a minute.
Funny thing about Dame is that I took him to buy a golf course in New York, and he actually, he could play golf. I was amazed to see, first of all, Dame is, besides just an amazing entrepreneur, he is, like, the guy can do anything. He's a jack of a lot of trades. And I was surprised to see him hit a golf ball like 300 yards. I was like, wow, damn, Duke, what else can't you do? You know what I'm saying? This dude is an amazing dude, and I'm glad to be a part of his life, and I'm glad to be a part of this situation right here, because we're talking about the business of education, and nobody else is more important to talk to than the great Damon Dash, because anybody knows about business, this is my brother right there. He can tell y'all how business is made and done and created. This man is built. I can't tell you his resume. You guys know it already, so I'm not going to tell you the resume. Not just Rockefeller either. I mean, just the hundreds of millions of dollars he's generated, almost billions of dollars in cash and companies that he's generated is far beyond those that we can get to. But any insightfulness that he can give to us, something that we appreciate. We appreciate you, Dane, for coming through. Thank you so much, brother. This is big for us.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, Laz.
So let me get started with a couple of quick questions to you. You know, I got a chance to watch your subscribe to your network. I'm gonna allow you an opportunity to speak about that, but I got a chance to see the segment OG with you and Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
And I mean that was definitely a dope session that you had going on there. You want to talk to people a little bit about about your network and basically how you came about and things like that?
Yeah, well, my dream was to be a mogul. And I knocked that one off pretty, quickly, relatively fast. And, but in that experience, what I realized is there's two kinds of businesses. There's the business of controlling us and paying us. And then there's the business of us being aware of our self-worth, having ownership, and what gives us residual income. So when I did the music business, I felt like I had worked too hard and I didn't make enough money. I didn't have enough to show for it. I had a Jay-Z, a Kanye, MOP, 10 years of that, and I still had to hustle. And I was trying to also figure out how I could generate the kind of value without the compromise of quality of living with my life. So what I learned was residual income, where, I could sit by the pool and something I did 10 years ago can generate a check for me and I don't even have to feel it. And the only thing that gives you that is like, movies and television. And, I did state property and I did pay the full. And pay the full, the first deal I did wasn't the greatest deal for me, but it got me in the game to learn how to make a really good deal. And the state property deal, I got to make, where I got some good residual income. And moving on, it still gave me good money 10, 13, 15 years later. And I'm thinking to myself, imagine if I would have owned 100% of this and I'm not subject to a corporate skim and I have like 10 of these assets and I know how to do this on my own. And the only way for it to get done for me to own 100% of it is for me to do it with my own money. Because if I take somebody else's money, then I got to bust it down. And they start telling me what to do. So I thought it was important to understand how to make content. And then when the internet came through and I saw like YouTube, I understood that now there's distribution and no one can stop me, because before, if you made some content, you couldn't distribute it. You had to go through somebody to distribute it. But there's a direct-to-consumer relationship that people are enjoying for the last 10 years that made it, nothing can stop me. If I put it out there and they like it, they can buy it. I don't have to go through a middleman. So because I do so many different things, from music to fashion, and I know how to make movies, and I know how to make clothes, it just made sense to me to figure out how to make content, but not like, lifestyle stuff and news, because that gives you no residual income. Real scripted content, to do it fast, to do it cheap, and be able to just have everyone subscribe to me. But even after I make the content, I can license it out as well, other places. But that's what you could do when you own something, what you want with it. But people at the end of the day can pay for it, but they got to give it back. So I just started to do all of this different stuff, and like around 2009, I had sold half my interest in in Rachel Roy, and I was trying to start an electric car company with Malcolm Bricklin, and I don't know, like the economy cracked, and the actual business kind of went out because we couldn't get the funding, but the building it was in was so interesting that I rented it, and I started DD 172, and it was just a place where I would observe creatives and capture them. I had the 5 Ds and no one had them, and I just started to practice, So all of that just evolved into Game Dash Studios, DDS. Everything I was doing when everyone said I was broke, the evolution of who I am as a person and my point of view, and also as an artist, because I'm a director, and also it's completely independent. And that's my ultimate dream. And it's taken me 10 years, about 15 really, of my head down for this moment to really happen, where I could reap all the benefits. So I could make a TV show like OG Stories, where because I know all these people that have survived things, I can talk directly to them, and I can tell you what they want you to know and what they want you to learn from. And even if you wanted to, we could screen it, and I can have Calvin come, and y'all could ask him direct, because I've been doing that. Oh, you got Gus in there? Damn, Gus, you lost a lot of weight. Yeah, word.
Hey, man.
What's happening?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to look like you, son.
Right.
Wait a minute, we got another. This is my brother, another brother of mine. This is my man, my brother. I love him to death. He is one of the best play-by-play guys in the history at Black play-by-play, which is, again, as we talk about building Black entrepreneurs, this is amazing. The great Gus Johnson. Put your hands together for Gus Johnson.
What's up, Johnson?
What up, man? What up, D? Mr. Tibbs, I like that cap you got on, son.
You got representing
What's
your
up, Dave Dash? That's my hero right there. That's my hero, Dave Dash. Let me tell you about Dave Dash. I was trying to get to the music industry. I had built a studio, and I went to all these guys, and it was only 2 dudes that helped me. Lazy Lays and Dave Dash, my main man. I love that guy, man. How you doing, Dave? You all right? You look healthy and strong, bro.
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
Okay.
Good. So Dave, so in the room, you got over 90% of the people in this room are principals, right? And one of the things that we've been talking about as of late is about reinventing ourselves, right? Not only reinventing our leadership, but basically evolving into something else. I remember watching you in your last interview on the Breakfast Club when you talked about, or you basically, clarified what you meant in your first one, which was you're not against people working, but you are against people working and not doing something for themselves, not building themselves up as well. So what's happening here, I got a room full of principals who are doing amazing things. But we know eventually everything comes to an end. And I thought that the conversation about now reinventing themselves, adding more to them as people, that I wanted them to hear from a person like yourself who's gone through so many changes, and the products that you put out, the content you put out, and everything else. Can you talk to us a little bit about, just the importance of us having something else besides the job?
Well, to me, life without a purpose is not life. That's like death. And, if you're just trying to survive and you're complacent and you don't have anything to fight for, whether it's your children or just something that makes you happy, I just don't see how you can exist. So I think you should always have a purpose. And when you're fighting for a purpose, you should also figure out how to monetize that purpose. So what I'm understanding about teaching is, number one, at a certain age or at any age, if someone doesn't want to go to class, they're not going. So if an adult goes to school, it's because they want to. But for all other adults, if you tell them that you are teaching them, they think it's school and they shut down. So the only ways I've ever been able to really teach people is through entertaining them. So I try to make sure what I do has entertaining substance in it. But the thing in the question you're asking me is, what I do is, as I evolve, as I learn things, those things inspire me. And that's why I keep doing different things, because I always want to have a purpose. So once I figure one thing out, I want to figure another thing out, and it has to be bigger. So it's not even reinventing, it's just me evolving. So I can't be, doing the same thing I was doing 20 years ago now. That doesn't show any evolution, that shows being complacent. And that's not what we're here for. My last name is Dash, and that means life. There's the day you're born, and there's the day you die. And that dash in between is the life. And we're all meant to live. But again, my problem with education is it doesn't teach you how to really live. It teaches you how to be controlled. I don't see the purpose of sitting in a space from the morning when the sun is out to when the sun comes down, to sit behind a desk to prepare you to be an adult and sit behind a desk for 8 hours while the sun is down. It just seems like it's a controlling pattern to me. And it was one that I never subscribed to. And the only way I've ever learned was through living. So when I was in school, I'm like, yo, what is Pi gonna do for me? Like, if I don't want to be an engineer? And now that I'm adult, how come they didn't teach me how to pay taxes? How come they're not teaching my kids how to code? How come they didn't teach me how to grow food and be sustainable? How come it was never once mentioned to be an independent or how to be an independent entrepreneur? It just teaches you to get a job and go to school. And that's all I was taught in school, which is why I dapped out. Because I didn't want to be taught to be a soldier. It didn't feel right. So I just feel like within the curriculum, number one, there's different ways to teach people. You can entertain them and teach them. There's different times of the day you can teach people. No one has to be inside while it's hot. And then also, you can teach them stuff that's going to really help them in real life. Like, taxes are not even brought up really. Farming is never brought up really, other than other people should do it for you. Health, like real health. And then if there was an education that was made by people that were controlling us 60, 70, 100 years ago, how are we still going to use the same education that was taught by people that had slaves? How do we still live by the same laws that were made by people that had slaves? Everything has to start from scratch. Because the education I was taught, other than reading and writing and math, made me think I was number two. And the only way to fit in was to be doing what they told us to do. That's what I was taught in school.
Hey, Dane, the great thing about this, though, you're talking to the head of the faucet, because each of these...
That's why I'm talking to him. That's why I'm saying that.
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. That's beautiful.
Like it's like the education that we're taught to teach ain't for us. It's for them to control us.
Absolutely. And Dane, so, just like Lays was saying, with the principals in the room, I think why I needed them to hear this, Dane, is because everything that they're getting ready to go back into, because eventually we're getting back into the schools. And so we got to actually start preparing our minds and our curriculum and everything towards what's going to make life better for our kids when we get back. And I know oftentimes people don't want to hear it because traditionally education has been done a certain way. But I'm saying that the people in this room, I know, for the most part, have an innovative spirit that I understand. They realize that things have to change. And so what Dame is basically telling y'all is the same thing that I'm trying to tell you all in the past. You got to reinvent yourself. You got to reinvent your schools. You got to reinvent your leadership. You can't do the same thing you did before because we'll end up paying a heavy price. Our young people right now are hurting because we decided not to bring things into our schools that was going to transform their thinking to what's going to happen 5, 10, 20 years from now. We're doing what's best for now. So I need you all to understand this conversation about how it's important is that you cannot walk back into your school with the same mission statement. You can't walk back into your school with the same vision. You can't walk back into your school with the same mindset. It has to shift. And so I wanted Dame to come on because I think that sometimes the message as well as the messenger is important. And what Dame has been saying for every video I've ever watched Dame, he's always said the same thing. He's always saying it's time to boss up. Those of you who I spend time with, you already know. I always tell y'all the boss. Y'all the boss of your school. What are y'all going to do differently to make the changes that we've been talking about? So I definitely thank Dave for bringing that, to driving that point home, is because besides reading and math, my question is how much do you value the stuff that's being taught in your school the same way? So I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna allow a couple of you to ask Dame a couple of questions in alignment to what he was just talking about.
And real quick, are y'all taping this?
Get that, Dame.
Are you taping this?
Yes, we are, Dame.
Good.
I mean, ultimately, as we talked before about putting it on your network, because we definitely taping it, and we want this to be a part of the Dash network. So definitely, we're having this discussion, and we're going to tape it and cut it up and put it, and definitely give it to you so you can put it on the network.
Dope. Well, I guess y'all all principals. I shouldn't have expected anything less. Everybody in the room is smart.
Listen, I call the boss of all bosses to deal with the bosses. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I call the bosses. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that. That's good money.
This is Kyle Brown, principal at Newark Vocational High School. How y'all doing today?
What's going on, Kyle?
I just actually want to actually shout out Principal Cook right now because what Dave Nash was talking about is something that Principal Cook is trying to do over there on West Side. I don't want to give away all of his tips and secrets and just let it explode when it explodes, but he definitely has some entrepreneurship vision going on with his schools. He has a pathway for his students to learn about entrepreneurship as part of a 3-year program, and he's turning his school into a place where they could just take their ideas and just run with it and be the creator of their own ideas. So that's definitely a good mindset, and that's something that Principal Cook is doing over at West Side.
Can I say something real quick?
My son is a big admirer of yours. He listened to one of your talks when he talked to you about his water company, water company, and he loved all the advice that you gave him about it, and he brings it up nonstop. So
Maybe we'll put his thing on.
Keep spreading a positive message that you are definitely listening to.
Got the mute. Thank you. Well, I just wanted to say one thing. My whole existence in school, I never had a black principal. I never even saw a black principal. And the fact that there's so many black principals in one place, I just feel like the world needs to know that they're all black principals. You know what I mean? They need to know that. Because again,
I have a question.
I was told what to do. The principal was the boss, and he was a white man or a white woman my whole entire existence. And they wasn't trying to tell me who I was. They was trying to tell me who I should be.
Question. So, I've had the opportunity to work in Harlem for 5 years. I was an assistant principal. And now currently I'm a principal in downtown District 2. And our parents raise maybe about $1 million a year for the school. I live in Cambridge Heights in Queens. I have 2 boys, 8 and, he's 9, and one will be 7 on Saturday. Parents in our communities barely pay $35 for PTA dues. For school leaders focusing on instructional, you have your mind on instruction, moving the needle. What can we learn from you? And I'm only saying this because I remember an episode you were talking to your son when he purchased the house, and he was like, you just bought something, and it's like, what were you doing? I think a lot of people might not have that entrepreneurship, that mindset. So how can we get money in ways that can tap into a source like you? Is there something that we can do to tap into that type of mindset and galvanize parents to know that's really how we can make schools great? Is that opportunity? One, having the census and having people to do that. But what can we learn from that mindset? Because we really do need to, this is the new block right now in the school. And so how can we get that money that we need and tapping into that mindset that you were talking about?
Well, two things that I think I'm going to see. Number one, the world as it exists is over, right? There's going to be a new world, and education is even going to be approached differently because people are going to be apprehensive about sending their children at home until there's a vaccine. I'm not sending my kid to school till there's a vaccine. I don't care what the government says, right? So this is also a great time for college. Like I have a daughter that, she's basically in college because her mother wants her in college. The next semester, she's already like, I'm taking that one off because it's going to be safer. So colleges are going to have to figure out how to do what they've been teaching for a long time. They're going to have to turn into entrepreneurs. They're going to have to figure out how to find a different kind of way to make some bread. And I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to adjust. But what I think, to me, and again, this is between you and I, your principals, what taught me about business the most as a child was that I was selling drugs. But the reason why was because it was a business. I had to put my money up, I had to cop, I had to put it on the block, I had to have the same color top every day, I had to brand it, market it, but the difference was you make a mistake, you go to jail or you die. I learned so much from that I just applied it to business. My point in that is, I just feel like the next time around, if my child wants to go to college, I'll say for $60,000 a year, I'll give you a business, I'll invest in it. And you'll learn business with that $60,000. And you can keep flipping it. And in between that'll be your best lesson. Because it's hard to understand business until you actually do it. There's no school that can tell you. So I feel like if in the curriculum, it was like, yo, all of y'all start your own businesses. Because you have to know what it is to be independent, have a purpose, and sacrifice for it. Make somebody know what it feels like to have skin in the game. Because people don't know what it feels like to put up their own money. We're taught to create credit, to never put up our own money, to always use someone else's money. And when you use somebody else's money, you're controlled. When you always owe somebody, you always have to have a job to work it off. So what should be taught is how to remain independent, how to know how to fight for something, what sacrifices come with that, how it feels to go through a struggle or a defining moment, because there's no business that happens without struggle. But we're taught to be scared of that kind of confrontation and to play it safe and to just be paid and to be dependent on credit to get ahead. And that was always the problem. And still, like my kid goes to, $40,000 a year school in LA. She's 11. The education is decent, but it's still the same. I don't see them preparing her to do anything different than what they were preparing me to do. All my kid knows is that they want to go to college. And that if they don't go to college, they've done something wrong. And they're taught that, by someone that's not an entrepreneur. So it's like, how does someone that's not an entrepreneur teach someone how to be an entrepreneur?
Well, if I could add, I'm Principal Williams at a school in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and I have an elementary school, kindergarten through 5th grade. And I definitely believe in the entrepreneurship mindset. I'm a social political person as well, even though, I work for the system, but I still have that belief. And I still believe, like Jacqueline said, about just embedding that mindset in our children at a very early age. So my elementary school students do create their own businesses. I'm partnered with an organization, Stimulating Minds Through Entrepreneurship and Leadership Opportunities, where my children get to delve into what are they most passionate about. And it doesn't matter what it is. They actually created business plans this year. They raised funds. They pitched their marketing ideas. They went through the whole process with this organization. They opened up banking accounts. They raised money. They saved money. And now, of course, with COVID-19 hitting, we're at the place now with how we're going to disperse their funds. But this is year 2 for me, and I definitely believe that it's so much more than just reading, writing, and math when it comes to educating our children. It is absolutely about creating or helping our children to tap into who they are as individuals, but definitely developing that mindset from a very early age. So it's not what do you want to do when you grow up, but it's who do you want to impact? Who do you want to impact when you grow up? What type of an impact do you want to make on the world? So I think just shifting that question around helps the children to tap into what problem are they going to solve. Just getting their mindsets wrapped around the whole concept of entrepreneurship, but then forming partnerships so that we can do that. So actually working in the school, we do need additional partnerships with people such as yourself, in the organization that I work with, so that we're able to expose our children more to that it's possible and they don't have to sell drugs in order to do it.
This is what I was saying, and I appreciate that, and that makes sense. So, whenever, I have a television network, right? And that's really where things yield for me business-wise. But,
Hey, Dane, can you hold on 1 second, Dane? Everybody, do me a favor. Can y'all just mute your mics? If you're not talking right now, do me a favor, mute your mics. So we all can just focus on what Dane is saying. Thanks. Sorry about that, Dane.
It's all good. So what I was saying is, a lot of people come into my studio, my sound stage, and they're musicians. And I end up trying to teach them what you have to do to be a musician. And I'm like, you have to do a residency. You have to rehearse. You have to have a live band. This is not the way you're traditionally taught. And they were not listening. They were not listening, even though I'm Dame Dash, they were not listening. They don't listen. So this is the reason why I did a rock album, because I'm 50. I did 48. I did the album. I rehearsed. I did it with a live band. In order for me to teach somebody how to do something, I have to have done it. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the only way they respect it. So my suggestion would be for every principal here to go start your own company and go be an entrepreneur and show your class, as I have a job teaching y'all, I'm doing something. And then while you're going through the struggles, the trials and tribulations, then you could tell them, I just took a little bit of my check and put it into my dream. And it's not going so well, but I'm still here at work. I mean, if you're allowed to do that. And then you tell them how to do it. Because the struggles that come with business, you cannot even understand them unless you do business. You couldn't know how to tell someone to avoid them unless you've done business. The anxieties that come from being exposed, the fearlessness that comes with putting up your own bread, it can't be taught. But I know, like, if somebody puts 10 cents up for a glass of lemonade and they sell it, and then they get for 20 cents and go get another couple of glasses of lemonade, they'll understand it just from that perspective. You understand what I mean? Because that's the only way I understood it. But I know that I only listen to other hustlers. Like, my problem with my teachers were, I had better cars than them, and I was younger than them. I had a better car than my principal, so you couldn't tell me what to do. So it almost seems like to teach, you got to lead by example, some way, shape, or form. So like, if you have to fit in the old curriculum, when do you even have time for the new one? So my question is, what's the purpose of pi and algebra? I don't get it. What's the purpose of learning Latin? It's a waste of time. What's the purpose of the things that are in the curriculum that make a kid have to sit home and do homework for shit that's not going to even do anything for him when he gets older? Unless you want to be a scientist. Like, why is this still in the curriculum? Why is why? Like, why waste the space with it? You know?
I agree, but the point is this, and I think you're making an excellent point in terms of explaining how important it is for people to have experiences that they can then relate and connect with the students and teach them hands-on. But this is where the gap occurs in terms of the type of urgency, in terms of the need, what we saying that these students have to gain that meaningful education, and the curriculum or content that we have accessible to make that a reality. So although you have principals that's all passionate and doing what they can as leaders to push that mindset into their staff and give that resource to their students, without the curriculum available to make it a consistent implementation, continuity, like consistency is key. So to help your teachers be empowered to deliver that to the students, that's where the content, like you said, your business focuses on creating content and you hone in on music, fashion, and movies. We need education content in terms of using that spirit of entrepreneurship to our students, and it means that builds on the assets that's there. Like, they do look up to you
but that is what
in your industry. You get what I'm saying? Like,
but you know that wait, my whole look.
Student passionate about every rap song that comes on that can spit.
But wait. I just don't want to go. I just don't want to go down.
To get to a point to connect that passion to entrepreneurship with the type of content we have available to teach them in the classroom.
Now, with that said, and everything you said, my whole network is devoted to just that. Every single thing in my network is about the education they don't give us, right? So I have therapy, which they don't teach you about in that curriculum. I have a section called Poppington University where I teach my own school. We have Health is Wealth where we teach how to cook, vegan, all those things. We have the traveling stuff so that you know that there's life going on outside of what's going on here. We have Boss Talk, so where me and a Master P, we talk about business. I even have, because usually what's presented to us is, traditional religion. And, there's things that are not presented to us that exist, like what's in the Dead Sea Scrolls and what's in the Emerald Tablets and things like that. For some reason, they don't tell us. So I even have, a section called the Galaxy Network that teaches you with Billy Carson, that teaches you about all the things they're not teaching you in scripture, that involves spaceships and Anunnakis and intergalactic wars, and all of this is in text. And then I have the Yah Squad, which is from Newark, that also has an untraditional perspective on religion from a black perspective, but it's still about empowering. When I went to see Farrakhan, he sent for me? Because he said I'm the only one that was talking about farming. And I go out and I see him. He taught me about GMO, seeds. He taught me about compound, everything. And I was like, this is what people need to show of him. But the platforms won't show that part of him because that's the most dangerous part of him. The thing that's going to help us. They only showcase the negative stuff, the scary stuff, but they don't showcase the stuff where he says, yo, go buy some land and be sustainable. And I just don't understand why that's not. And one more thing, and I'm going to let you talk. I'm talking to senators and I'm talking to congressmen. I'm learning politics. I'm learning how to lobby and get laws made. I'm sure there's a way that if there are teachers or principals that want to change the curriculum, there's a way to lobby for change.
That's dope, Dame. And listen, so I think what's important for people to understand is what Dame has been doing, and he's not one who's basically boasting about it. He's been doing the things that we're trying to do. You're talking about speaking about our community, speaking about ways to improve education. He's doing that on Dame Dash Studios. Like, he's doing that in his real world. I think oftentimes we get so wrapped up in the entertainment aspect of this that we don't know that that's what he's doing,
Because that's what they want us to do. Like think about this. How come in school they don't teach anyone how to be a politician? How come lobbying is really not in the curriculum other than just touched on? How come there's no big deal, no debate teams? How come there's all these we're trained to think the only way we could break a social class is to be entertainment and sports. And we get trained to do it in school. They don't train us to be politicians. That's what really counts. So that's why on my network, I showcase the senators and the black people that are really fighting for us and that are lobbying and changing laws. That's what I'm not understanding. I don't get that, and it would seem fairly obvious. Why teach us how to be football players and not how to be congressmen and senators? Why that doesn't come into play?
Well, the point is, Damon, we trying to train.
No, I know. I'm not saying y'all. They not. I'm loving that they're even listening.
Yeah. But that's the point.
It's not their fault. I'm not saying honestly. I promise you. I'm loving it. I would never knock a black principal ever in life because I've only had white principals.
Hey, how's everyone doing? This is.
I would never knock a black principal.
Hey, how you doing? All right.
That's Dougie Fresh?
Hey, my brother,
What's happening?
Hold on. LA Sunshine. Who's my next guest? Who's in the room with us too?
Well, my big brother, man. That's my brother from another mother, not just from entertainment. Doug and I have been real close from infancy, and I thought it was important to just have somebody of his ilk to come along. So I would just like to introduce my brother from another mother, the one and only, the greatest entertainer.
I appreciate it. It's always, yes, man.
Good to see you.
Hey, I see you too, brother.
It's good to see that you and Dane from Harlem is in the house. So
Harlem's officially in the house now. You got Dougie Fresh.
You know I love my man Dane.
That's my brother.
Man. Nobody say that's my man right there.
Hey, Rock.
You're going to get 100%. That's all you're going to get from him.
All right.
I'll agree or disagree.
Well, I got to show my... Hey, Rocky! Come here for a second. Real quick.
Fair, boy.
Oh.
Yeah, man. I was talking about you the other day. I said, boy, that's my man there. I said, you put the heat on him on that show, I heard. I said, you put the pressure on them. They gonna have either come right or don't come at all.
Yeah.
It bust pipes, Dougie.
Hey, look, that's what it's all about. Sometimes you gotta bust them.
Well, also my issue is that, and I appreciate that, my issue is that we're programmed to fight each other, but we don't fight them. So I was talking to a lot of different kinds of people that I know, from white, black, shooters, whatever. I was like, you know what makes me crazy to people, or a little different, is because I call out black people, but I call out white people by name, right? And then I said, look, name a black man, another black man that does that. Most people couldn't. Then I said, name a black man that calls another black man out by name. That list is way too long. We fight each other all the time and we never fight them. That's a pattern. That's a control that they have on us. We think that we can't touch them. I asked a shooter I know, I said, yo, you shot at a lot of people. You ever shot at anybody white? No. Why not? Why not? And you're not scared to go to jail and have to be in a cage, but you're scared to even question what a white man says. That's programming.
That's right.
Why are we programmed like that? Because why? We think they're the plug. They're not the plug. We're the plug.
And the program is deep.
Mute your mic for me, please. Anybody who's not talking, please mute your mic. Go ahead, Dougie.
Yeah, it sounds like it's some talking from the background, but I want to first say there's an N that popped up on my screen, so I don't know if y'all are seeing me or hearing me. So I'm going to wait. Okay. Well, I wanted to first say that I wanted to thank LA Sunshine for having me involved with this. You know, LA, I love him to death. That's my brother. I learned from him, and that's one of the things that we don't like to do. We don't like to show love and appreciation for each other. We sometimes have the tendency to want to get all the credit and all the things, and we want to be the one who have, it was me. No, it's never you. It's a collective effort that makes up you. And if you're lucky, to live, you'll be able to acknowledge the people that came before you, to show some appreciation for all that they went through. Now, I want to say that, seeing Lays on here, man, that's like, you don't understand. It's like, this is like a family reunion. And I'm going to just make this quick point on what Dane said.
Love you,
yeah,
brother.
man, all to the end, brother. And let me tell you, Dane, the reason why a lot of people have issues with some of the perspectives that you come from is because you're a free black man. And a free black man talks differently than a black man that is not free. And I don't mean free from the perspective of we're not able to walk around. Some of us are not free, some of us are incarcerated. But even though they're incarcerated, they're still free mentally because they understand the game. Now, this is not an attack on white people, but we're going to be honest about it, is that, there's systems that are created, and they set up systems, and this country is set up in systems, and sometimes based on slavery and based on it going down from one generation to the next generation. There's this thing that's happening like right now with COVID-19. Everybody is being controlled by fear. Some of us are more fearless than others. Dane, you've always been the kind of guy to me, and I keep it 100 with you, is that you would say what you really feel and what's on your mind. A lot of people don't have that ability to do that. LA Sunshine is that same kind of guy. He'll say, hey, I want you to do this. I want to use you. He'll tell you, I want it. Like he has no problem saying what he really feels. A lot of us are afraid because, some people don't want to lose a check. Some people are tied to other people, and those other people are manipulating them, and they're a puppet, and they could be financially rich, but spiritually they bankrupt. So there's a lot of that going on right there. So sometimes when you talk, see, you play the game at such a high level that you've seen all the manipulation from the top all the way down. So sometimes, in my opinion, what I would say to you, my brother, and this is with love, is that it's like you're trying to give a college education to a kindergarten class. And sometimes you got to dumb it down a little bit because they can't see it. And their emotions is attached to it. And psychologically, they don't even understand they are in a trap. So you got to sometimes, in my opinion, it's just my opinion to you, is sometimes you have to, dumb it down and don't expect them to be where you're at as fast as you are, because it took you time to get there. But imagine how long it's going to take them time to get there, because they don't even know that they're not even there. So sometimes it's a gradual progression.
Now, let me jump in real quick and say this.
Yes, sir.
What you got in the room here, again, is well over 90% of principals throughout the country in this room right now. And in terms of what it is that they can do almost immediately to begin to implement the stuff that you and Dame are talking, and LA's talking, and LA's are talking. We got to be able to start to talk about it in a way that is universally understood by everybody, which is right now. You got right now something that you haven't seen before. Most people have never seen this before. To have this many principals in one room, and this ain't. And
it's an honor to be in the room with these principals.
And you know what? And see, and Doug and Dane, this is what I want for you. This is part of the reason why I bring you guys on, is because this right here is the front line. This right here is what makes schools great. And I think when you look around you, again, you can scroll. There's over 60 of them in here. 60. In one room.
Powerful.
And so what I want y'all to do is to be able to say, like, listen, yo guys, y'all are doing a fantastic job. Keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. Here's what I want you to do next. Here's what I want you to bring to your school by way of curricular changes. Here's the things I want you to bring to your school. So that's what I want to ask you guys to kind of chime in and talk to them about, because I want them to walk out of here fed about what is it that they can do almost immediately to change some of the stuff that's happening in their schools.
Can I? But let me end on this piece and then pass it on. And it's a very short piece because I don't want to take up the floor. But I want to first start and say that I want to say love and respect, and I appreciate the principals that are on this line. And I know some of them don't know, and I know some of them are playing a game within a system where their hands are tied. So I understand that as well, because when I was coming up in school, my principal, who was a black principal, it was a man, he was the reason why I graduated. Me, Teddy Riley, and Chill was in the same school. We all got kicked out of King, and then we went over to Park East. And when we went to Park East, this principal wouldn't allow me to not graduate because I was in the 12th grade. My career took off. Beat Street came out. The show was coming out, Lottie Dottie, and everything looked like I should leave school. He said, nah, he let me take the work with me, and he worked with me. So I understand sometimes that with these principals, their hands are tied. But I also know that it's a collective effort. So if some of the information that I'm able to share with these principals can help them in their curriculum and making sure that, you know, they add a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or life skills, which is what Dame talks a lot about and I talk about, because, you know, it's good to learn the curriculum, but it's a very important thing to learn the life skills, because as you see, after this COVID-19, people are going to be trying to figure out how to survive. So life skills are the fundamentals of surviving. Some of us are intellectually powerful. Some of us are very good at engineering with our hands. So I think that if we're able to work with the principals, speak with the principals, and help them, you know what I mean, we can make a difference in this whole situation. So I just wanted to say that and pass it on and just tell all the principals that, you know, I'm with y'all, man. I'm with y'all. This is not a fight against you. I'm with you, and it's a collective effort. Nobody raised a kid by themselves. That's what I've learned, and I got 6 sons. So trust me, I know how this works.
My thing is, can I say one thing? Let me say one thing. I believe that Lays knows my business model, right? It was a little like Muhammad Ali's. It's to be disruptive and deliver. And I know that Lays would never put me on a call with a bunch of people that are principals that would be sensitive. And I know y'all not. Y'all not here for me to sugarcoat, right? So I won't. So my thing is, I like to come with solutions. Now, what Dougie was saying about me being abrasive, and maybe I need to dumb it down, Dougie, I want you to go to Dame Dash Studios, and I want you to look at all the programming about therapy, about taking care of your woman, about taking care of your children, about music, real music, about entrepreneurship. So, you know, I'm the guy that's gonna shake you up only because I'm doing it. And I've chosen to be this disruptive because I think the people that are hurting us should be exposed. Not in the old-fashioned way of hurting them physically, because that's an unevolved way of hurting them. Just like the war we're up against is a very evolved war. It's not a physical one, it's mental, and it's messing with our health. So what I'm seeing is when we go to school, we giving milk and we giving everything that's killing us, right? Everything that's making it where even the lunch, where when something like this happens, we're the first to go. I feel like it's where they've been fattening us up to kill us. And these are the reasons why I'm speaking to y'all about trying to figure out how to get a solution to having your hands tied. And that's the reason why I was feeling like I had my hands tied, but I got a law passed in Indiana for diabetics. Now, I'm a diabetic. They don't even teach you that shit. Like, I don't understand why they don't teach you that meat's the #1 cause of cancer and diabetes. And that in the next 10 years, one out of 3 people is going to be diabetic because of the food and the GMO and the seeds. Because that's the thing that we need to understand to survive. And that's the that I pay attention to. So when I went to school, I literally did not pay attention to one thing. Like, I love that Dougie finished high school, but the question I would ask Dougie is, besides the reading and writing part and adding, what did you use, or what difference would it have made if you had that diploma or not? You just got it because they made us think unless we have a diploma, unless they say we are educated, that we're educated. And that's not the case, and that's how they control us. And I don't want us to be controlled. You know, the education is the first thing that it teaches us to be a slave. Pardon? And I'm not knocking y'all for it. I'm saying, yo, the reason why I'm bringing up the lobbying part is I know that if there's something y'all don't like, if all y'all black principals come together and go talk to your city councilman and bring that lobby to a senator, that shit will be turned into a law and something will be passed. But there's no education that was made by someone that had a slave that should still be taught to us today. I can't with that. You know what I mean?
And okay, the principals, we got a lot of really great principals in the room. They want to ask you guys, you and Dougie, some questions.
Okay.
Please allow them to ask you.
Go ahead, I got it. I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me jump in, and I feel obligated to jump in because you got Harlem in today, and you know I rep Harlem all day, every day. What's up, Dame?
How you, bro?
What's up, bro?
We crossed paths many a times because I spent my life in Harlem. And I agree with everything you said. I want to resonate with Dougie said. You know, this is not about being a principal. A principal just gives us the position and accessibility to either exercise, and it's also not about being black, because being black is one thing, being black and conscious is another, right? Being black and being a free man is another. So I definitely want to resonate with what Dougie said, because everything that they mentioned, I'm already doing, right? And so this really isn't about schools or curriculums. It's about standing up and being leaders and it's not, you can't just have the position. You gotta be a leader and you gotta lead. So where the curriculum is not what you need it to be, make it what you need it to be.
Right.
Where people are saying you can't do this, turn a blind ear to it, because you can do it if you got the courage to do it. I don't play by anybody's rules, right? I come and I fight every day because I'm doing what I do because I love the kids. And I do it for children, I do it for families, I do it for community. Me being a principal just gives me some extra tools, and it gives me some extra keys to open doors I wouldn't be able to open. But this is not just about being a principal. It's about really, if you're conscious, letting your consciousness guide the work and being a leader. If you're not conscious, go get conscious, go pick up some books and do what you need to do so that you're not just black, but you're also a conscientious black man or black woman, so you can really get out here and do the work. Because again, these degrees and all these things, all it does is give us permission to do the work, unless you just come in because you want to dress up and tell people what to do. So I agree 100% with what's been said. And I challenge everybody, it's not enough just to be black, be conscious, be a leader, and don't take no for an answer ever.
Now, you know what, let me say this. Again, I want to make it very clear again, that what we got in this room is still special. And the fact that I do have well over 90% of the people in this room that are principals, it's a special thing because, as Dame is putting it, again, there is power behind everything we're saying, right? Because guess what? When Big Daddy Kane said the same thing a couple of weeks ago, we all jumped on that. So what I'm saying is, Dame is saying the same thing that Big Daddy Kane is saying, the same thing that Doug is saying, the same thing that Chuck D was saying. And at the end of the day, what's important for us to realize is that we are the change that needs to happen. And if you want to start, like I said, go and check out what Dame has got going on in Dame Dash Studios. Go on and get the app and see what it looks like, so you can see what he's talking about. Because none of this he's talking about haven't I not seen myself. I subscribe because I believe in what he was doing. I subscribe not because of Dame Dash, but because he offered something that I was looking for, and I just happened to find out. Go ahead, Dame. Can I say something?
Well, just real quick. One thing, and then I'll get back to you. This is special, and you are the type of people that are the people that I believe the community should be looking at as the celebrities and stars, which is why I was like, are we taping this? Because this is what needs to go on the platform. That there are black people that are at certain positions that really get together and try to talk about how to make things better, and these are the people that should be celebrated. So this is the purpose of having a network, because I highly doubt that another network that's not owned by one of us would want everyone to see this. I highly doubt that. Where I want everyone to see this, and I'm going to make sure everyone sees this. And y'all should all be known. Every single principal should be known, because y'all are, just like I said, our senators, our black principals, those are who should be celebrated. And because you're not entertaining people, no one cares. But they should care the most about the people that are really trying to do something. So guys like us have to make y'all and position what y'all doing as cool. We have to position what y'all doing as influential. The new cool shouldn't be trying to front and buy a diamond. It should be trying to pass a law, trying to figure out how to teach, trying to make somebody better. I'm trying to teach that the only way that you win is if you love others before you love yourself, not self-preservation. I wanted the woman, the lady, the principal, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Dr. Riley.
Thank you. I know the topic today was how do you reinvent yourself, and I hear what you're saying, so thank you so much. So what I propose to put on the table is, I'm sure just like me, there are several colleagues of mine in this room who have been doing the work for a long time and are wondering how to move to the next step. I've been a principal for elementary school for 14 years, and I know the next step is right around the corner, and my goal and my desire is to continue to help the next batch of principals or leaders come up to take everything that I've learned and make it happen. So knowing I have a wide range of skills, but then listening to what you're saying Dame and Dougie, how do we get to sit and listen and learn from you so that way you can pull me up and then I can become another extension and then I can pull other people up.
I'll tell you how.
Others up.
I'm gonna tell you how.
Because like you said, you know, not really being taught how to do business, you gotta be in it in order to really learn it. And with the amount of intelligence that's in the room, well, for me, I can speak. You put me in the middle of the section. LA, I hope you don't mind me saying that. He works with me, and you can see him clapping. So what I'm saying, am I saying the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Can I say this?
Innovative.
Can I say this?
Very innovative, and I know that
I'm about very quick.
And I know I have a lot to offer, and it's just that missing gap. And I thank Dennis for being in my life to bring me into this space. So being fearless, taking the next step. I'm sure I'm not the only one in this room who needs that gap bridge connected.
Well, this is the first thing. This is the first thing I'm gonna do, right? Because I believe the most important thing right now is health. Is getting us healthy, right? And also learning how to do business. So easily, I can put the CEO of my insulin to talk to y'all, and the CEO of One Drop, an entrepreneur, both of them, that do my blood tester, and they could teach you how to talk to your students about avoiding becoming diabetic because it's inevitable. And then also they could tell you about the business of it, so you could also know that. And also I can make programming for you that because they might look, I could put cool music behind it, but still have the right people talking the right things. Because health, everyone pays.
Yeah, Dane, let me jump in for a second. What's gonna happen is I'm coming to LA.
No. I'm saying I could put them in here. I could have them come in because this shit is gonna last for a while, bro. Your principles, right? This is logic. No one can really come outside till there's a cure or vaccine. It's going to take 18 months to have trials and get one tested regardless, no matter what, if they had one today. So having people come outside is guinea pigging them. They just want to see how many people are going to die, and they're going to bring them back in. It's going to be a spike. Look at the other countries. But all I know is that your man from Facebook, what's his name from Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg, he canceled everything over 50 people till 2021 June. So at least it's going to be till then. So my point is, I could just have them pop in and talk to you. They want to talk to y'all. You know, they want to be connected with, where's diabetes the most? It's black people. Everyone got an uncle with diabetes or got it. You know what I'm saying? Or a grandfather or been affected by it. So people pay attention to that. You know what's crazy? In Brownsville, you know Shannon Briggs? Of course you know Shannon, right?
Yeah.
So he put his peoples out. He had his people's FaceTime. I was with him from Brownsville. There's ones that's still outside Brownsville, right? And they like, yo, Dame, I mess with the DDS, Dame Dash Studios. I look at the Dash Diabetes. Grandma died of that. Like the toughest shit I got on there, but he was telling me about the diabetes stuff. It connected with him. You know, us staying alive will connect. We just need the answers. We just people want to be told what to do. So if they're going to want to listen, they want to be soldiers, tell them some good stuff instead of some bad stuff. But I can do that. I'll show y'all. I'll give you all my resources. See, that's what nobody else doesn't do. I don't hide the plug. I pass it. I'm not into self-preservation. I'm into us all winning.
Us being able to bring you on was not only to pick your brain and to pick what's in Dougie's brain as well, is for you to be able to say, you know what, listen, the impressive nature of what's in the room is something that the world needs to know about and needs to see in a particular way, that not just anybody can give this to them.
Right.
I understand why this is happening the way it is, and it's weird, Dame. It's weird because everything that I've heard you say today, I've heard you say before, which means I know there ain't no bullshit in what you're saying today because you done said it 15 times before. The stuff that you talked about 10 years ago that most people decided to say, nah, because Dame said it, I ain't listening. But when you look at what's happening now, we basically see everything that Dame was talking about. Everybody, when Dame was talking about going out and doing his own movies and doing his own network and everybody else not following suit because Dame said it, the reality behind it is that you're the one left there standing, basically.
Now you gotta be Hines and catch up.
Browns, hold on, Dave. The great thing about old school Browns is everybody be bringing
bring on is consistent. That's why we bring Dougie Fresh. Because let me tell you something, I've known Dougie for almost 30 years. I love him like a brother. He's consistent. Dame Dash, I know him for almost 27 years. He's consistent. And the bottom line is that's what we need. All you principals need that consistency, because there is consistency in the black community and leaders that can help lead us to a better position than we are today. And y'all are faucet. Y'all at the head of the faucet. That's why this is so important.
Like if you ever see, let me interject here and tell y'all this. Let me add something to it, to what you're saying. I want to go backwards for a minute, because you said it's 60 or how many principals are on the line? Almost 60. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share with you, because Dame brought up a lot of points, and the points that he brought up and the points that everybody's bringing up is really, really important. And Dame acted in like the moment and immediate. He said, I'm gonna put this one with that one and do this and do that. That is how you're supposed to handle something, and sometimes we have the tendency to put each other off. We have the tendency to not communicate, and I think that that's a big problem with us. And I think that sometimes, once again, like when I was saying about the message, sometimes when the message is given in a particular way, a person can't hear it. See, that's why there's a separation in the music, because it's based on frequency. You hear a song that comes from your generation, you can relate to it. A newer generation, you listen to it, you can't handle it because you're not even vibrating at that frequency. So sometimes frequencies changes the way that a person can accept information. So for example, I'm feeling like this conversation that we're having goes back to a certain point like this. There's two forms of knowledge that you gain in life to me. One is significance, which is book knowledge, and the other one is practical knowledge. If I was in Harlem and I needed a cab, and it was a guy who had a driver's license, but he didn't know nowhere around Harlem, and then there was another guy who don't have a driver's license, but he been driving in the street all day long, and he knows the corners, the back streets, and everything, and I can get in one cab. I'll get into the cab with the guy who don't have that driver's license, because I know he's going to get me where I need to go. Now, what we want in life is a combination of both, because education plus practical knowledge is what makes you more superior. Now, some of us have more practical knowledge than education. So when we're talking about education, we have to understand that it's a whole complete puzzle. It's not just one side, it's both sides. And like when we're talking about when he said about the high school diploma situation, the part of the thing that I got from school more than anything was the reading and the writing and the mathematics and the interaction of knowing how to communicate with others and knowing how to create groups and camaraderie and different things like that, because that's going to be necessary when you go in life. But you have many people who didn't graduate, who are brilliant, who are masterful at what they do, and it doesn't make them less than a person that did graduate. So when you're looking at education, even from a health perspective, which is what Dane brought up here also, health is number one. And I've been pumping this since day one. I've been eating, doing things in a certain way since day one, and I've been pushing this before a lot of people even got in this game. I've been telling people that health is number one. There is nothing. I have been saying this same conversation since '82. I've been in this game since '81, and I did the beatbox in '82. But when I was on, I kept saying, "Yo, health is wealth, and you get wealth from your health." Now, over 40 million people in America have diabetes. The majority of the people that have diabetes are blacks and Hispanics, which is all collectively the same thing. And the problem is that a lot of us do not have enough education on what it is that's creating this diabetic effect continuously. Like too many carbs, too much sugar. We grew up drinking Kool-Aid. We grew up eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, not realizing how much sugar is in the jelly.
And all that
bread
nasty shit.
turns from the starch, and the
Wonder
starch
bread.
turns to a sugar, and the sugar turns to a fat. And then by the time we find out, then we're connected to these medicines, which is the insulins and the things that we have to take to maintain. And really, type 2 diabetes can be controlled by the diet. You don't have to take those things if you study what is in that food and eating the right foods that will get you to not take any medication. But why we don't know that, like Dane said, because they don't want you to know. So the reason why the principals and the artists have to interact, because you don't know how much we know. And if you listen to us and we listen to you, we could collectively communicate and change the future of our next generation. But if we don't, we'll keep making excuses and we won't be taking no responsibility. And responsibility, the true meaning of responsibility is having the ability to respond. You see what I'm saying? So to me, I feel that we collectively have to learn how to communicate better. Sometimes we gonna argue like we did in the house when we was younger. Sometimes we may even thump it out. But after we finish, we gonna go get a little water. We ain't gonna get a sun-kissed soda like we used to in Harlem from the Iceman on 118th. You understand? We gonna do it different because we know that the sun-kissed got too much sugar, and if the sugar goes up, we are done because now we have knowledge. You see what I'm saying? So I just think we gotta learn how to just don't take it so personal and don't be so emotional about the way that we communicate with each other, because black people communicate in a way that no other people communicate. All right? Our hands is moving. Girls is like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's like this. You know what I'm saying? They might say something and you hear me, you be like, yo, do you want to fight me? And you ain't even listening to the message. All you doing is just be like, yo, what's up with that? So it's like we got to learn how to get off this emotional roller coaster, communicate with each other a little bit better, and take your ego out of it. Because I think that's a big problem too. Sometimes you believe that because you're a teacher or a principal, see, a real teacher knows that they are a student first because they have to continuously learn. But a teacher who just thinks they only teach and they're not a student is not a good teacher. You see what I'm saying?
They power tripping, and it's
exactly.
like, and then there's this disconnect that happens, and they forget that they was once one of those kids standing in the classroom, and then they go and then repeat the same behaviors that they knew they didn't really rock with, and it's like, what's the point? And then to your point about communication, it's listening with the intent of knowing what the other person said, not waiting for your turn to speak simply. And show that intentionality about, like, I'm listening to you, I'm showing you that I'm listening, but I can also disagree. We can be in conflict, but still be in the conversation. Where it transcends into an argument is when your voice starts to raise up a little bit more than necessary. It's like, we can talk, but there's nobody else like you on this entire earth, and nor will there ever be ever again. So it's understanding that we're not going to agree on every single point.
Well,
but we can talk about it.
That's right.
But what people do have to understand is, when you're talking to somebody that knows they're wrong and they start to yell, it's usually overcompensation because ego has stepped in and they don't want to be wrong. And that's just human nature. That's what happens a lot.
Hey, I always just pay attention to the message. Sometimes the messenger is different than the message, and as long as I get the message, that's the most important thing, you know?
So let's talk real quick about some practicalities here, right? Because there's obviously some stuff we got to walk away from today. We heard a lot. And I thank Dame and I thank Dougie for dropping all that they dropped on us. You know, but I know principles. There's always this, yo, what's the bottom line, y'all? What we gonna do now? What we gonna do to fix this now? And I think that what I was hoping by having both Dougie and Dame, one, because I think it's an amazing balance, you know, that they say the same message in a way that can be.
You're getting two for the price of one. You're getting two for the price of one.
To bring them both made sense, right? But more importantly, I want us to be able to say, you know what? So Dane, if there's a way for us to kind of communicate with you on a regular about how do we get content like this on your show?
What I'd like to do is, this was a show, right? So I'd like to put this out as a show. We had two great guests. What I'd also like to do is I would like you principals to talk about what you want to change in the school system if you could. And I'd like to put you in front of a senator. I'd like to put you in front of a congressman. I'd like to put you in front of some bishops. I'd like to put you in front of people that can actually make things happen. And when they know that people are coming together like a gang, it scares people into doing the right thing. You feel what I'm saying? It's just like when you have a gang, it can scare people into doing the wrong thing. A gang of intelligent, enlightened black principals collectively together on the same sheet of paper is the type of thing that can get people elected. It's the type of thing that can get laws passed, because there's too much credibility in what you're saying. And my job is to make that cool, to make that the wave. See, my responsibility as someone that made a lot of money misleading people based on what I knew. It's my responsibility to deprogram them. It's my responsibility to take my platform and do right by it. So that's why I'm making it cool to be healthy. I'm making it cool to go to a therapist. I'm making it, I'm gonna make it cool to admit you're diabetic and go fix it. You know, you just have to define the narrative of what's cool. What I think I should make cool are black principals that are coming together to try to make a difference. That's the cool. And your students, knowing that I think y'all are cool, if they think I'm cool, or anyone you're affiliated with cool, they'll think you're cool, you know? And then you can give them challenges like, go make a movie because I can make sure Dougie Fresh or Dame Dash hears it, or go make a record because I can make sure Dame Dash, because the bottom line is, I didn't really know what I was walking into. It was just, Lays said I'm doing something. I barely read the text. I just show up because it's Lays. But now that I'm here,
thank you.
To be honest, I didn't know.
What you're talking about, though, and I do want to offer a text because I'm reading it now. It's called Conversational Intelligence. And I think what you're doing, that's powerful, because from pre-K to 12, and it's Conversational Intelligence by Judith Glasser. Get that book, look at it, and that's your curriculum, and that's something that will connect all of us. Because what you're doing is, you know how to form and how to put together a conversation. And that's what, when I lobbied this year and with CSA, it's powerful. I'm like, why more people don't do this? So what you're saying is correct, but it's just, how do you engage in that conversation? And there's something that's called conversational intelligence, like how the big thing is emotional intelligence, this intelligence, it's called conversational intelligence, and that's what you have honed in on. And so that's the operationalized word for you. That's what you do. So I would say that's something we can start as a text. And throughout all of our different platforms, if we teach the skill, and then that will connect to having a debate team. That will connect to lobbying with your senator or your congressman. But I think what you're saying, Dane, is about, it's really looking at the what you put together to have a conversation. So I'm going to put that in the chat.
What I want to say, what I'm saying is...
Dave, hold on, Dave. Before we go, I want to say one thing, because Dave, hold that thought, because I want to say there's an impending crisis going on right now. This is my 18-year-old son, Michael. He's graduating this year, and he still doesn't know if he's going to have a graduation. That's a real situation that we're dealing with right now. Michael, say what's up to the room. A lot of legends in the room right now. Make sure you say hello to everybody.
What's up, Michael?
That's Dougie Fresh. That's the legend, Dougie Fresh. He doesn't talk a lot, but this is a real deal we're dealing with right now, because we got this year, the class of 2020 that's not graduating. So, we don't know if they're going to graduate because of this situation with the coronavirus. So just all of these things are very important, and Michael's been listening to everything everybody's been saying, because this is the shit that's really, pardon my language, going to impact his life. So this is...
Well, let me add one thing on to Michael to pass this on. Michael, here's something I want to tell you too. Your father, man, your father's a beautiful, beautiful man. Your father's a strong man. Your father's been a friend of mine, and he's been a straight shooter. One of those guys that, you call him, and that's why Dame took the call from him, because Dame don't just take everybody's call like that. But your father's a guy that when he makes a call, people appreciate him and they respect him because he has a history of being an honest, stand-up guy. And hopefully the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So, even if the graduation don't happen, the graduation did happen because you did it. You see what I'm saying? And you are somebody that made that difference to move forward and push the culture forward, push your father and your family's, legacies forward. And the paperwork, like Dane said in the beginning, which I completely agree with, do not mean as much as what did you get from it and how can you apply it to make a difference in the world. You see what I'm saying? That's the big part of this whole thing. This is just an acknowledgement that you're getting from your peers. And that can be postponed, like a birthday party. It can be postponed. If you want to do a birthday party outside, it's raining, we'll do it tomorrow. The show ain't happening today, we'll do it tomorrow. But the one thing that's not postponed is the education that you got. And so you should be happy and you should be proud of that. Now, speaking of education one more time, we're living in a time, and I know it's a tough time for you as it is for us, that this particular virus has affected so many people on this line, on this particular line. There is a family member or a friend of a family or a cousin or a nephew or a mother or a grandmother who has passed away from this particular virus right now. And what Dame said, which is you can see that in his growth, 10 years ago, he wasn't the same guy that he is now. Yes. He's grown to become who he is, and he's talking about using his power in a way to change lives and make something that normally would look corny, cool. So I'm going to tell you what I did, because I come from that school that's how I learned this. I made a song, and it's called 20 Seconds or More. And it's about washing your hands. It's a video. And I put 30 different entertainers together. And I told them, I don't want them to come in there and spit a verse. I don't want them to do no singing. All I want you to do is send me a video of you washing your hands. Because you washing your hands for 20 seconds or more will save a life. If you come in there and give your grandma a hug like you normally would, or you carrying the package in the house for your mother or somebody and your hands was dealing with somebody with the virus and they grab the bag and then they're in the room laying down and they coughing and wheezing, and then the next thing you know, they're in the hospital, which is contagious to the highest level, and you know you don't want to go there, but then they pass it on to another member or another family member in the house. This one little action can change the course of everybody's life. You see, this is why education is powerful. So what I did is I made a song, and it's on YouTube, and I made up an organization, a foundation, and this is no money. I put my time, I put money in it, but I did it because I love people. I love my people a whole lot, but I love people. And so I used my power for good. And see, this is a time for you. This is a time for you to look at yourself and look at what's around you and see that what you do will affect your family and it will affect other families. So I want to congratulate you on taking that step and graduating from school and making your father proud and bringing him on this, because that's when a father's proud, when he make you step up. Because he's happy to see what you did. So I want you to take a little look. I got this thing, it's called hiphop.org, right? And it's a video, it's called 20 Seconds or More. And just washing your hands for 20 seconds can save lives. And they show through statistics that over 21%, like it reduces the death rate 21%, just from washing your hands. So this is why knowledge and education is important, because we'll walk around thinking everything is cool. Cats is out in Brooklyn still passing blunts to each other. It's crazy. Not even realizing that you are affecting the next person and that person is affecting the next person.
Let me just
I wanted to tell him something too, though, when he's finished.
What Dana said he's willing to do. I don't think people quite understand the magnitude of somebody being able to say, I'll take this, that what you guys are doing, and I'll put it out there for the world to see. Like, I think we ran over that. I think we didn't understand.
I agree.
Like,
Well,
this
I
ain't
want to say, when he rolls, I'm rolling with him.
no doubt. See, listen.
I'm gonna roll with him.
This ain't about me. This was, when I created this,
Me too.
this was us. And the fact that you got a Dame Dash, a Dougie Fresh, who's willing to say, listen, what y'all are doing, we love it. What y'all are doing, we'll shop this. What y'all are doing, I'll put it out there. Forget everything else that you may have heard and didn't and might have ignored. The fact that Dame said that is something that I don't hear enough of us nodding our heads to, because he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to.
I put it in the chat. I said I love that idea because I'm definitely I'm passionate. I'm a fearless, passionate advocate for children. So I was definitely up on it the moment he said it, and I wrote it in the chat because that's exactly what has to happen. You know, oftentimes I say this a lot about us as a people, right? Because we all black folks here. You know, never mind which island we got dropped off on, right? As black people, we oftentimes, we know how to come together to fight each other, you know, to curse one another out, to bring each other down. But when we harness the power that we possess, the knowledge that we have with the experiences and everything together, and we channel that energy to advocate for ourselves, we're unstoppable. So as soon as he said it, I put it in the chat. I'm down. I'm down for that. I'm down for doing whatever it is we need to do to make sure that we speak to whoever we need to speak to make sure we can go about making positive changes for the children and the communities that we serve.
Well, real quick.
Go ahead, Dan.
The self-awareness that I want y'all to have is the power in that. Because if I was like, you know, Ted from Netflix and said it, you may look at it a bit different. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I'm gonna be bigger than Netflix. No one else has their own network. It doesn't exist. That's why it's hard for people to understand the game I'm playing. But I have a 24-hour network. I have a deal with Comcast. I have a streaming service. You know, that means you have a platform to touch millions. It's just about the work. You know what I'm saying? And Lays.
And that's why I said what I said, because I believe that there's a collective intelligence in this room.
No, but I want y'all to feel powerful. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, forget all of that. Get geeked up. You know? Get cocky about that.
I'm like back to it from Uncle Dave, but I just wanted him to say hello to you.
I wanted to say this. Definitely, you're making your father proud, and that's a great thing. And you look like an upstanding, young, clean guy. You're with your dad, and that's dope. That's something that's priceless to me because sometimes I have issues with mine. But sometimes I look at things as a sign, not a bad thing, as a good thing. So the fact that you may not have a graduation right now might mean that you may be having to prepare for a different kind of world. So a lot of things you've been taught were to actually survive in an old world. There's gonna be a new world. And if you get ahead of the game, you'll be smarter than your teachers, because now the level field is completely the same, it's equal, because no one knows what's gonna happen. No one's ever dealt with this. And the world is going to function and exist completely different moving forward. So start thinking about how to come out on top.
That's right.
And you'll end up you might come out of this a teacher instead of a student, right? And you might be able to give a diploma on how to survive this new world. The person that figures it out first is the smartest now. Knowing about everything before survival doesn't matter. Whoever's not moving right now is a soldier. Only generals move in a war. And this is a war. And if you can't do nothing in the war, don't ever talk tough again. Don't ever act like you're a general again, because all that counts is the war, and this is it, and what you do in it. So we weren't prepared for this war. I just happened to be. My business model just happened to be. But a lot of people that were talking a lot and doing a lot are sitting still. Don't listen to them after this. Tell them what to do. That's what I would say.
And so listen, y'all, again, I can't, I mean, we can obviously talk all day and all night because of the amazing people that are in this room. And I'm definitely talking about the principles as Dame and Dougie talked about was that you guys are the real celebrities. You guys are the ones who are doing the major work. And, as we try to wrap up here, I just want people again to understand that 5 weeks ago, when we came together the first time, we came together as principals looking for an opportunity to engage in conversation and to discuss topics that I think are relevant in our lives. And just like every classroom you go visit, every teacher, some people ain't gonna get it yet, and that's understandable. Some people ain't gonna get what kind of blessing this truly was today, to have the type of people we have in this room. And look, I'm not one to sit here and talk about what didn't work or what didn't happen. I'm just telling you the way Dane, the way Dougie, the way everybody came, the principals, everybody came together. It came together the way it was supposed to happen. I could tell you right now, if I could show you, I always have a list of things that I'm going to talk about. But when I see it go a certain way, I let it flow. And today was one of those days. And understand, every week ain't going to be like this. Every week ain't going to be like this in terms of us having this kind of intense conversation. But what needed to be said today was said. And at the end of the day, what you heard a man say that no other person has ever said to any one of us in this room is that we'll take what y'all got and I'll put it on my platform. That's how dope we are. That's how dope everything that we say and what we do is all about. And again, this ain't about me. If everybody in this room benefits from what Dame is talking about, then I'm good with that. Because when this is all said and done, I didn't do this for me. Doug didn't come on here because Dougie wanted to floss. Dame didn't come on here for that. Like, they had 1,000 other things to do. But they came with that message. And that message was that y'all are the real celebrities. Y'all are the ones who's carrying this through. So again, if there's anybody in the room who may not understand, again, this don't happen every week this way, but the way it happened this week, I truly applaud each and every person who came today. I really and truly do. Because it ain't that easy to get this many people in a room on some, let's learn together type stuff. So I appreciate everybody for that. I truly do. Is Simone Nicholas still on here? Simone, you still on here?
You know I am.
All right, Simone. So Simone, this is how I work. Yo, Lazy Lays, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Listen to me, right? Anybody in this room who feels a certain kind of way, I want us to talk about it. So, Simone, you know I love you, right? You know that, right, Simone?
Of course.
And so, ladies, Simone was a little bit taken back that you interrupted her amazing her comments that she was about to make. And I want to make it Simone. I want to make it clear, ladies, that we follow protocol here. If anybody in here is offended by something that somebody said, we're going to do what we're supposed to do as men. So, ladies, I want you to understand what you said, or the way you chimed in on Simone earlier, made her feel some kind of way. And I need that fixed as soon as possible, brother.
I like that.
I'm sorry, but before you go on, I just want to clarify. Anisha, I know you're still here. We were talking about conversational intelligence. And Doug and Dane were it was a deep conversation that we were all about to get in. And then, unfortunately, it was just dismissed. So I'm just thinking about timing. I'm just thinking about, because again, I'm a Black woman, I'm a principal, I'm a Christian, I'm a person, I'm sophisticratchet, and basically, I just don't want it overlooked because I also watch patterns and trends where that doesn't happen with the gentlemen, but it was happening with the sisters. And so I just want it all clear that I have the utmost respect for everybody here, but at the same time, when there's a voice, when there's a platform, and we're all in deep conversation, we never want to feel like we're being dismissed. That was it.
And I'll say this before I get through, ladies, and I want to make it clear. The reason why I brought that to the forefront is because I don't want anybody walking out of here feeling a kind of way, because the message was too powerful.
I got you. Let me just say this one thing. First of all, let me just say this is a beautiful coalition of amazing Black principals and entertainers
There's a lot of heartfelt energy coming into this room, and it's not always going to be politically correct, but it's always on time, because at the end of the day, it's about what we are trying to do. That's more important than anything else. So listen, your shoe might get stepped on, but it doesn't mean we hate your sneaker. You know what I'm saying? So we love everybody in the room, and sometimes we might make a mistake and step on your shoes. But at that point, we're going to still move forward, because what we're building is way more important than how we build it. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. And again, it's clear. I want to make it clear. So ladies, just understand, when we got a room this full, there are going to be some things that happen. And I just, again, never want it to be where anybody walks out of here feeling that their comments was dismissed and things like that. So that's why I'm bringing it up, ladies.
Let me say this to you.
Ladies, you're so disruptive.
I want to apologize if I'm
Let's talk about me, right?
disruptive, but at the end of the day, we're all speaking. This is a coalition. This is a forum. So, and we are strong. I'm a lion. So when I'm speaking as a lion. So sometimes when a lion roars, he may interrupt the other lions that's roaring. So I want y'all to listen to all the lions that's roaring, and then discern what you need to get out of the conversation. Because what we're getting out of it is really important. Again, the message, and I want all my lions to roar. Like my man Amadeus said last week, we are all.
You know, and Simone, I understand. At the end of the day, you're already part of this team. You ain't going nowhere.
I know you see my face right now.
You ain't going nowhere, so I ain't trying to hear nothing, all right? So you get that. Me, you, and Laser talk off record, but I wanted to bring it up in this conversation so that we understand that there is protocol on how we gonna move forward. But again, let me wrap up by again thanking Dane, thanking Dougie, thanking all the principals for coming through. This really is one of those intense conversations that, unfortunately, I don't want us to glass over as if it wasn't a dope experience. I do say that, Dane, I thank you. I thank you for extending that opportunity for this to reach your platform. I thank you for giving us the opportunity to engage you in a conversation. Dougie, same thing. Thank you for allowing us to engage you in conversation. Thank you for engaging us in conversation. And again, all love in this room. It's all love, and you know me. Everybody that I mess with, they're dope in every aspect of the word. I never want anybody to feel any other kind of way. So again, I love each and every one of y'all. I know that the feelings are mutual. And again, I'm allow Dougie and I'm allow Dane to close us out with a last word or two of encouragement to our principals immediately.
Can I say something real quick, Dennis? For those of us who don't know, Dennis I know he's my leadership coach. I know that he's some of you guys' leadership coach. So if you are visitors or guests on here and you want to know how to get connected with Dennis, I think you should put that in the chat, Dennis, so people can realize that you do assist and you come alongside. I know many of us in the room and have helped us not only move our school on a professional note, but also helped on a personal note. So that's just my testament to what you've been doing. And if you want to get the same type of love and assistance professionally and personally, he put his information in the chat. So I just needed to say that because you haven't been saying that the last couple of times for people who are in the room.
It's in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dougie. I don't want to interrupt anybody else because sometimes when I'm hearing it, it's different because it's coming out of my speakers a little different. But I want to apologize to Simone if I interrupted you because that wasn't intended. You know that. It's all over.
Well, ladies, that's so deep. You know, what I find, and I want to say this, my brother Dennis, thank you for having me on here. I am honored, and I feel blessed to be able to talk to all of these principals and to be on here with my beautiful brother Dane Dash, man, who I really have a lot of love for because I understand him so well. And the other person that I want to thank is LA Sunshine, who is my brother and one of my teachers. And, you know, I love the man to the bone. And I'm not afraid to express love to a man because love is a demonstrative word that's proven through an action. And his actions demonstrate love. And it's the only force that I think in this world that stops us from hurting each other in the way that I see us do. And so I want to close this out on my end by saying that these are the takeaways I'd like you to walk away with from me. Number one is your health. Your health is important to all the principals and everybody on here because you can get diabetes and high blood pressure and heart problems because of the level of stress that you're dealing with. And let me tell you something about stress. 80 to 85% of all sicknesses come from stress. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Because y'all principals, y'all will probably look it up. And this is the very interesting part of it though. Over 70 to 73% of all of the things that you're stressing about never even happen. So sometimes psychologically what we do to ourselves is we put ourselves in these positions that make us take certain actions because of stress, which creates sickness. So I always say health is wealth, and you get wealth from your health. You can be the wealthiest person in the world and the unhealthiest person in the world, and you will not be happy. So the key is for you to try to take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people. That's my personal opinion, since y'all are in the front runners. The second thing I like to say is that when Dame is ready to go and make a move and y'all are tying in and the communication continues, as we all can communicate, in LA, you let me know. I have a lot of friends myself, and I think that we can tie this in together. And as he said so eloquently, that a gang definitely makes things different. It makes people react differently. So I think the communication has to happen because we come up with great ideas, but we don't follow through. And I think that that's one of the problems that we have right now in the world. The last thing I like to say to you is this, is that this thing about each other with our women and us as men, I think that we have to always, and I love what Lay said, and I got to acknowledge him on there when he apologized, because we have to have respect for one another in a way that we think about it. I always say respect is a funny word. Read means again, spec means to look at. So you're looking at it more than once. So before you do something, just think about it more than one time. Have a little respect, and if we have respect that flows back and forth, we'll be better off. We won't have to fight and get caught up in things that send us off on a wild goose chase, and we miss the whole point of why we got together. And so I just want to tell you that I appreciate y'all, man, and I got a thing to help y'all principals right now at this moment. It's called Hip Hop Public Health. I want you to look it up. I did curriculum. I've been to I've taught hundreds of thousands of kids throughout the whole New York City area. We taught them about obesity, childhood obesity, seeing symptoms of strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure. I have had kids use this information and save the lives of their grandmothers and grandfathers. So if you have some time, I would recommend you to just take a little look at it. Me and a brother, a doctor, got together, and we did this 10 years ago. And we wanted to take hip hop and health and combine them to kind of bring it into our communities so that a lot of the younger people can have this in their mind about exercising, and instead of going and getting a Kool-Aid, they'll go and get a fresh orange or something like that. Better food choices. So I think if we feel better, we act better. We look better, we think better, we better. You understand? So, and I just tell you, man, I appreciate y'all, and thank you. And LA, this is full circle, because Dame Dash, I think probably several years ago,
you didn't even know
called me. Yo, I'm gonna tell y'all this quick little story, and then I'm gonna shut up. Several years ago, Dame Dash called me and said, I'm doing this movie called Paid in Full. He said, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing it on my own. He was doing it on his own back then. He said, Doug, I want you to come and do this for me. I mean, he was in the back of the Apollo showing me about the iPod and all this. He had mad things going on. So after I said, okay, long story short, I said, you know what? Man, Dame called me and asked me to do this thing. I'm going to do it. He said, yo, this ain't a big payday, but I'm telling you, this is a story of Alcorn Rich, and I want you to be in it because we're going to reinvent the rooftop and do it. Long story short, I went up there and I said, damn, I need somebody to introduce me. So I told LA Sunshine to come with me to come up there and introduce me. And Dame seen him and said, oh, that's LA Sunshine. Oh, hell yeah, let him introduce you. So then after, what happened is this whole thing turned around that the movie came out. Everybody paid him for. It's a street classic. It's a classic. It's one of the movies that if you go in the Black House, it's in that house. All right. So now this is the part that Dave may not know, and this for you, Dave, because I want you to have this. This is very important. When that movie came out, Cameron was sleeping with the girl, and he was doing the Dougie while he was having sex with the girl. So there was a little kid from Dallas named Little Will who made a song called My Dougie. So when he made My Dougie, he got that off of the movie paid in full. And when he did it, then he called me up and he said, Doug, can you be in this video? Because we're going to do your dance in the video. So I went out there, long story short, came back to Harlem, and some people from LA went to Dallas and seen the video. And then they made the song Teach Me How to Dougie. So after they made Teach Me How to Dougie, they doing the dance. After all of this is over, I get a call from these kids saying, we in Harlem and we coming up to the Rucker. Are you the real Dougie Fresh? I said, yes, I am. They said, can we come and meet you? So I said, yeah. So I brought them to my house. And they was in there showing me how they dance, and I'm Harlem all the way. So I'm looking at them, I'm like critiquing them. And I said, no, you put this in there, you go like this. And so after it was over, we went up there, they performed at the Rucker, and then later on I performed with them on BET. And then after that, Michelle Obama did the Dougie, Wolf Blitzer did the Dougie, Beyonce did the Dougie, and it all started from this one scene of Dame calling me up and me embracing my brother, and it transformed my entire career and the world. And that is the way this conversation is going to do for you if you just follow through.
Thank you.
Okay?
Appreciate you.
Well, then, pull this up, man.
Damn, I gotta go behind that story. That was a great story right there.
It's a real story too, brother. I just got to tell you.
Well, you're the OG legend. You made the best hip hop record of all time to this day. And I don't even know how that would feel to do that. You know what I mean? And shit, so that means you're like hip hop God. You feel what I'm saying? Forever. So just any kind of like talking to you on any level or an acknowledgement is a stat for me. And to have a story like that, I kind of figured that's what happened. I don't even know if I heard it, but I figured that. I was like, they must have got it from that. You know what I mean? But I love that did happen. But going back,
you're a seed planter. I'm telling you this, so you can walk away with this from me to you. You are a seed planter. You are a disruptor. You are the one to shake things up. And when you shake them up, you may not get the full acknowledgement, so don't stand around waiting for it. But later, you will get it. But later.
But Dougie, I want you to know something. I really do get the full acknowledgement.
Okay.
I want y'all to all understand that the more disruptive I am, the more I smell roses. Because every war and battle that I fight that people watch, I always get celebrated when I win. And I win while I'm alive. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And going back to and going back to the conversational piece that the young lady was talking about, definitely this is that, but the difference is my conversations have to result in action, because in my brain, all my time has to yield, and I don't waste a second. And I don't believe that any second of this conversation was a waste. And I think every second of this conversation, other people can yield from. And because of that, it's entertaining conversations. And smart conversations are entertaining. And when the people are credible, you believe what they're saying. So the power that y'all have is me coming on and seeing 60 principles. I'm like, this is the most intelligent power collective, and if you could focus that energy, anything could be realized. So collectively, even though everyone has one agenda, it's good to focus your energy on one thing together, win that fight publicly, and smell your roses. And I can help you do that.
Hi.
And I can help you do that. And again, I'm about action, so.
So I'm sorry to bug you. I'm just, I'm kind of confused here. Did you get my little message?
What happened?
I'm sorry about that day. Somebody was talking.
Oh.
No, Abby needs to mute herself.
Oh.
Well, no.
Mute.
That's guys. In case you didn't know, I don't know. I'm getting a delay because it's coming to my sound system.
Well, I was gonna wrap it up anyway. So I was just saying real quick that I will action. You will feel this if you want as soon as you send it to me, and you'll see it before your next meeting, and we can continue it and evolve it. But if y'all about that action, I take pride in nobody out hustling me. So I'm challenging 60 principals to challenge me. That's what I want to see, an intelligent fight, a cool one, and I'm down because I like that action. You know, I've chosen to be exactly what Dougie Fresh has said that I am and embrace it unapologetically. But I just need him to know, when you get a W, regardless, someone's going to lose. They're going to hate you. They even have to give me my respect in my face. It doesn't matter. You understand what I mean? And you look who's behind me. That's my spirit. I've been made into an honorary Black Panther by Jamal Joseph. And I will fight fearlessly, always for my culture, even though I don't have to, but I really do. And I think y'all are doing it, and y'all should be able to smell your roses. See, a lot of people shoot the deliverer, and y'all are going to be the representation of a lot of things that people are upset about, and they're going to be blaming you for stuff that you have no control over, and you're like, damn, I'm just trying to fix it. I'm that same guy, trust me. I know exactly what that feels like. Embrace it. Embrace it. Be unapologetic about it. Be fearless about it. And teach everyone around you not to be scared, to be conscious, and to prepare. But don't let fear control an action, but lead by example. Because I only listen to people that are doing it. I never listen to a teacher unless I saw him doing it. You know what I mean? Ever. And thank you. I appreciate y'all listening to me, taking me serious. But none of it is in vain. Thank you, ladies. And thank you. Lad, thank you, lad.
Thank you.
Ladies,
And try to get that video washing your hands, man. Pass it around.
Hey, Demon Dougie, you got my word that by in the next day or so you'll get the video. And again, I challenge you too, Dame, because I know that's what you like. We all challenge you. Have it out there by next week. Have it out there by next week. But you'll get your joint in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Let's go.
But those of y'all in the room, honestly, I can't thank y'all enough.
He's the bad kid in the class. That's what he.
Hold on a second, Dougie. Hold on, y'all. So what's important to me is that we all did this together. We all did this together. You know what I'm saying? It's different if Dougie and
yeah, but you know what? Make sure you don't have any friend requests, Roz, because then they won't be able to log into your page.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So listen.
She don't even know what happened.
The technical game is so crazy. All y'all that are 30 and 40 and 50 and better on this line, you should be ashamed of yourself if you get mad at each other, because you know damn well you can barely use your cell phone.
Absolutely.
So don't take this personal.
No, we
won't take this personal.
But
Days is delayed and everything is what it is.
But here's what I'm saying, y'all. Here's what I'm saying is that the fact that we did what we did today, in front of Dame and Dougie and in front of each other, lets us realize that what we've been talking about for the past 5 weeks, about what we got to do to reinvent ourselves, what we got to do to be better, what we got to do to make our schools better, it starts with what Dame is talking about. Let your people see, let your kids see, let your faculty see what Dame is about to do with this, and then we'll understand why we are in this room today. Again, we understand it's tough. You're giving up 2 hours of your day. Some of you couldn't stay, and that's understandable. But understand what Dame said. And I did not run over what he said. At the end of the day, that man said he'll take what we did and put it on his platform. Period. I'll be a fool if I don't take advantage of that by tomorrow. I'll be a fool. And because I know the people that are in this room, because of y'all, I'm gonna make sure it happens, because not only is it gonna be about me, it's gonna be about all of us. We're gonna roll up in this together. Dame, thank you so much. Dougie, thank you. Yo, fam, thank you. Lays, thank you.
Go to dame-studios.com.
Thank y'all. I appreciate you. And again, I'm just asking y'all to take a moment to reflect on what was said today. You ain't gonna get it all in a matter of minutes. This may come to you in a couple of days when you see the finished product. But right now, I'm asking y'all to continue to keep in off school grounds. Keep it in your thoughts and your prayers, because we know it's about to take off into something that's beyond something I can even understand. So thank y'all so much. I know I got Florida in the room, I had Cali in the room, I had Jersey in the room, I had Tennessee in the room, New York in the room, I had Camden in the room. Anybody else from any other states?
Barbados, man. Trinidad.
Oh, Bayesian.
I'm from Barbados too.
No, we ain't asked you where you was born, Jacko. We just said
Charlotte, North Carolina.
No, I just want to make a shout out from Queens. You know, I got a mixtape out. Damn, we got a critical friends group in Queens right now. And we just tagged into Dame Dash Studios. So what's up?
I appreciate that.
So that's what. So y'all, if y'all can, get out there and support. Go out there and see.
And my IG is at the real Dougie Fresh, man.
Hey,
and I'm doing a question and answer on May 4th. So
all right.
Dusko Poppins.
In Brooklyn, we got you. Harlem and Brooklyn, what?
All right.
All day, baby, all day.
So Dame.
Hey, Dennis, this is Constance. If I can talk just a minute. Hey, y'all, this is Constance coming from South Carolina. I have been doing a fundraiser, and so I have not been able to speak, and it was killing me. I was doing a fundraiser for my school. So I'm down with everything that was said. Thank you, Dougie Fresh. Thank you, Mr. Dash. And Dennis, you know I love and respect you. This has been awesome. I'm bringing love from Beaufort, South Carolina, the Low Country.
Woo,
that's
y'all. Right.
Constance, can you put up the link for your fundraiser? So if I want to contribute, can you put that in the chat?
And I'm going to be out in Hilton Head real soon.
And Dennis.
Okay, cool.
Charlotte, North Carolina is here.
Oh, I was up in Charlotte. I lived in Lake Norman.
Thank you. So listen, y'all, again, I don't want to hold you any longer. Yo, listen, continue to share information in the chat with one another. Again, my information is Dennis at InOurBestInterestLLC.com. You can also see me on Instagram, In Our Best Interest LLC, Facebook, In Our Best Interest LLC. All I'm asking you to do is to just continue to support what we're doing. And I promise you, the moment Dame does what he does, I promise to put it up on my joint as well. So thanks again, Dame. Thanks, Dougie. Thanks all y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Much love.
All right, Dougie, I appreciate you. Let's get numbers so we can exchange.
Stay safe.
Take us out there, Lazo.
All right, y'all.
So funny. My man laughed. Okay, Lay. So yeah. That was about 2 hours of, real talk, 60 principles in the room talking about courage. And, that's what we do. And this is the only purpose of being on my live, only purpose of being on my Instagram is to learn, to get inspiration. Hopefully that's contagious. And, keep fighting. So I love y'all. I'll see y'all later.
If you want another amazing video with the one and only Dame Dash, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.